is Chisom Mbama, and I want you to say that quote. What is it? Let's have it again. Let's say that again. Once again. Okay, so as I tell you the story of involvement, I want you to think about yourself. I want you to imagine yourself at the point where you are and begin to ask yourself pertinent questions like, where do I actually want to go? What do I want to be? What do I want to do? What behaviors do I want to correct? Who do I want to evolve to become? And where can I start now so that I can move to point B? And so the story begins. Who moves from a degree in nursing to a career in core technology? I mean, if you think about it for a minute, those are very far words apart. That was me. About 5 years ago, I was a nursing student who had just finished school, and I was saying to myself that, who makes the rules? Thank you. Am I allowed to evolve or not? Can I actually move from point A to point B? And so I began to ask myself certain questions and actually move in certain directions. How did it start? It started from curiosity. You see, it's one thing to be curious about something. It's another thing to have the courage to actually pursue what you're curious about. And so I was curious about tech. I'm like, why do I have to outsource my data analysis projects in my hospital finance to somebody else? What do they have that makes them able to do this? And what can I actually do to be able to analyze the projects by myself? So remember the pertinent questions that you ask yourself to enable you decide how you can move from point A to point B. And so I learned enough data analysis to be able to analyze my projects and complete my hospital finance project without actually outsourcing that part to anybody. You have to understand that this is what almost everybody were doing. They were actually outsourcing. We had the analysis guys who were doing it, and so they were outsourcing. But then asking the question of who makes the rules, what stops me as a nursing student from doing this? And that one question, that decision would go ahead to change the trajectory of my life. I did not just do my own project. I went ahead to help a lot of my colleagues to actually do theirs. Now, it started with curiosity. It took courage to pursue the interest. But then one thing I've realized in life is that you have to be able to mirror possibilities, i.e., you have to be able to expose yourself to spaces where you find the people who look like what you want to be, who are already doing what you want to do, so that you can see that this is possible and then you can go towards it. Yeah, you need to have that picture of possibilities. There's networking events, even programs like this where people are just speaking, and I will look at them and say, I want to be on that stage one day. I want to be able to say, I have that job, I've been able to do this, I've been able to build that. And a lot of times in those settings, I wouldn't even really understand what they were saying. Remember, I was coming from a degree in nursing, and I was trying to start up a career in tech, so a lot of things were sounding like gibberish. And so I would write down the acronyms I don't understand, the words that I heard that I did not understand, and I would go home and I would need to research about it, read about it. You see, when we talk about evolving and we ask questions like, who makes the rules? It doesn't take away the part of learning, it doesn't take away the part of doing the work. So as a person who wanted to evolve into a new career, who wanted to explore, right, I had to do the work. And so that's one lesson for you today. As you think about how can I move from point A to point B, you also have to ask questions like, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to become to actually attain to the point B I'm going to? Okay, so can we say I'm allowed to evolve again? Okay. So let me tell you about actually going to receive opportunities, and our instinct is, nah, I'm not qualified for this. Oh no, I don't have this yet. Interestingly, a friend had told me one time that when it comes to going after opportunities, that we have a lot of people really who put out the opportunities. It's almost like a wish list. Oh, we hope we find somebody who can do this, do this, do that. But at the back of their mind, if we find somebody who can do this, then we would need them. It doesn't take away the place of responsibility. You remember, you can look at something and say, okay, I'm not yet qualified for this, but I want to work towards being qualified for it. So in applying for opportunities, every time I saw an opportunity that looked like what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do, I would apply for it, right, to get the experience of applying, yeah, to actually put myself there and actually see what they were looking at and looking for. And in the process of just going after opportunities without disqualifying myself, I had the opportunity to get some really good and amazing job. I was an associate for an EU project. I worked as a research analyst doing data. You have to understand that at this time, I had literally just left school. So I didn't even have like a lot of like knowledge and training, but I put myself out there. I said, hey, I can do this, I can do that. And they were like, we want somebody who can do all of these things, but with this particular certification and qualification. However, we still need somebody who can do this. So can you come on board? And that was also another opportunity that changed my life. And remember, just being in a place that mirrored a lot of possibilities for me also helped me forward. I applied to one of the large consultants in the US and I got in. I worked there for almost 3 years and it was such a life-changing opportunity. Can we say I am allowed to evolve again? So you must learn not to disqualify yourself from opportunities. Yeah. Now the year is 2025 and as a person who always asks herself, where do I really want to go to? What do I want to do? And how can I move from point A to point B? I have evolved again into another part of data analytics, which is analytics engineering. And so I currently work as an analytics engineer. And you have to understand that all of this started from a degree in nursing. How amazing is that? And so what I really want you to hear is that you can evolve. You're allowed to evolve. And when we talk about being allowed to evolve, it's not always necessarily in the big things like, oh, I want to change my career paths, I want to like change my country or whatever that looks like. But even in the small things, if you're the person who's usually very shy, you can decide that, you know what, I want to speak up more in the room, I want to ask more questions. Nobody makes the rules. Any day you decide to move from point A to point B, sit with yourself, ask yourself the questions, how do I go from A to B? Do the work and you'll find yourself at point B. So one more time, say with me, I am allowed to evolve. Thank you for listening to my talk.